Okay, guys, welcome to our Sports Matters and WrestleSlam podcast special. We're joined by one of the biggest female stars in Ireland right now. She's a Corkonian as well, which is always a good thing. It's a blessing. The Corkonians are on the way up, as I like to say. Anita Vaughan, first of all, thank you for taking the time to speak to us. We know you're super busy, multitasking a million things as always, but how's things on your side?
Things are good. Thank you for that intro. I appreciate that. Like, obviously, and I love like when people are like, "Yeah, she's from Cork," and it's a good thing. Like, because obviously, when you wrestle in Dublin, like that's it's not a good thing. So it's great to have that Cork support. Um, things are good. Like you said, like obviously, like I'm quite busy, which is a good thing, and I'm lucky to be busy. Obviously coming out of like COVID times and stuff, like to hit the ground running so fast as I have and been so lucky as I have to with wrestling. I'm loving being as busy as I am, like being up in Dublin, Belfast, Cork, Limerick. Like it's like what I wanted to be. This is where I wanted to be at this time. Like if I was looking back last year, like oh, if I could be here, like I'm where I want to be. So I'm happy out. So things are good.
That's good. And you're so chilled. Like I'll have to say, like, you know what I mean? For a person that does so many things, like between being in the midst of it with college, between wrestling all around the country, you're so chilled. Where does that chillness come from, Anita?
I just think it's like having a ridiculous timetable and just having to stick to it. I know. Like I love everything I do, like so I think that's why I'm not like I'm never stressed. Like obviously like I'm doing a PhD at the moment, like I'm wrestling, like I obviously travel a lot for that. I have like a job as well, like and but I love every part of my life, if that makes sense. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing I kind of go sit down and do college work. Obviously, yeah, sometimes like, but like I love what I'm studying, I love what I'm doing with wrestling, like I love getting to travel to do it. So like I think if I didn't like it, I wouldn't be so chill. But I think like that's what it with life, like you just have to be chill there. But that's cool that that comes across that way.
That's the best way to be. And like we have to talk first of all wrestling. You've made such an impact. I've been lucky enough to cover the Irish wrestling scene for 8 9 years as kind of like a journalist and I suppose reporter. But you've come along, Anita, and you've made a serious impact. I've seen your first match. I've seen pretty much all your matches in Cork. And as you say, look, we're on the verge of making the trips up around Ireland again. Thankfully, after a crazy 3 years of restrictions and the team kind of been halted. But tell us, where did the love for wrestling come first day? Were you a fan, or did you kind of pick it up late in life?
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely more on like the later in life kind of side. So I kind of watched ish wrestling when I was younger, like not like every weekend or whatever or every week. It would just be on the TV, but I wouldn't like follow it. So like I knew like John Cena, Rey Mysterio, The Undertaker, like the big names, like because like the kids at school would be talking about it.
Yeah.
But I got into wrestling as a fan myself when I was like in sixth year in school. Like so I was like 18 years old and I literally just came across it watching it one night on TV and I was like, oh my God, I used to watch this. And then like I think watching it as you got older, I kind of appreciated like athletically what they were doing, like the acting involved, like just the whole performance. And I just started getting into it from there. Um, and then like I think once you're at that age and you start looking at wrestling, like obviously the internet was there, and I'm just like getting so into it. I'm like, oh my God, there's schools in Ireland that do this, and then like finding out about people like Becky Lynch because that was around like 2016, 17, and I'm like, and she was obviously like just breaking through onto like the main roster, I think,
Yeah.
and like just seeing her, and I was like, okay, so someone from Ireland can do it, and like I was always like big into sports and stuff, and like for me to see something like this, I was like, this is really cool, and I just kind of got hooked into it that way. Obviously, like Googled wrestling schools in Ireland, found one, and I kind of got signed up straight away. So like there wasn't like too long of like just like watching it. I was like, I watched it. I was like, I want to do this, and I kind of got straight into it. So it's really fun actually thinking back about that now, like being like 18 and like in it, like. But I think yeah, like everyone kind of finds wrestling at a different time, you know.
And
Which
it's
is
it's
great.
a it's a very important age, as you say. Like 18 is, when we all want to kind of be our own bosses. We're all kind of being a
Yeah,
bit grumpy with the parents, or you know what I mean. It's one of them things. But you are very athletic. Like what kind of sports would you have played before all that? Like were you kind of a sporty person in school and growing up?
oh gotcha. So I would have like played soccer primarily or like football. Like I was like on emerging talent programs and stuff like that. Like but so like I always would have played soccer. I've played like GA, like so your Gaelic football, camogie. I did taekwondo, I did jujitsu, I did athletics. Like I think like a lot of Irish kids and stuff will just grow up like getting sports thrown at them and you kind of fall in and fall out of each different club. Like but Like that would be my background. Definitely mostly soccer. Like I played that a small bit in college as well. Like, but then like I also found wrestling in like my first year when I started college. So I kind of, as I got into wrestling, I kind of moved away from like the team sports a small bit. Like obviously you keep like the gym and stuff like that. Like, but I just got really into wrestling. So, but that would have been like kind of all the sports I've done. Like, but I don't think it's like too dissimilar to what a lot of Irish kids would have done, which is great. Like, but
Definitely.
that would have been my background.
And I know by the way you're talking that you were definitely good at sports. There's no doubt because when you play soccer, when you play GA, you have to be half decent. So I know what clubs did you play with growing up?
Like I'm like East Cork based, like so I was always like Middleton.
Mm.
Like literally like your Castlemartyr for your like your Camogie or Dungorney. Like I was always kind of based out there. Um yeah, like not to like I wasn't like playing at like your Cork City level or anything crazy, but like I always like I was very into it, you know. Like I remember like you know like kids that spend like their time like I think girls especially like maybe like when I was kind of growing up, it wasn't as like pushed for girls to be involved in sport and physical activity, and like that's a lot of what my college work is to do with. So I'm kind of glad I can carry that part on. Like, but yeah, I know like obviously like back then like I was mad into like playing sports, and maybe it wasn't as common where I was growing up. Like,
Yeah,
but it's great that it's kind of come on a bit more now. You know.
definitely. And like we're lucky enough now to have you in the wrestling world, which is incredible. And as you see, you've made that impact since day one. The fans have taken a love hate liking to you, which is great. Now, as you say, fans are very strange. You know, like we're grumpy, we're happy, we love the bad girl, we love the bad guy. You know, it's all there. But what was it like joining that wrestling school from day one? Obviously, look, did you have a vision from the start? Right, look, I can actually do this because look, you have that athletic background. You know, you're very confident lady, you know what I mean? You know what it's all about, you know what the heart grinds about. So did you have a plan from day one? Yeah, look, I'm actually gonna give this a go, or just see how it goes.
I think I had it like in my head. I was like, yeah, like I'm gonna like again, like I think I've always played so many sports, and I feel like I took to them quite easily. Like I you know like there's a lot of carryover between different sports and a lot of similar skills and stuff like that. So I would have like I basically went into wrestling as well, thinking like, oh, this will be easy. Like it's gonna be so grand. I'll rock up on day one, and I'm gonna be like a natural. Like obviously it's gonna be easy, and it was obviously not easy whatsoever. Like I think it's it was such a reality check. Like you show up and then like you're doing like bumps. Like where do you learn how to do a bump in any other sport, or like rolls, and then like on top of all like the physical things, like you're leaping and sleeping and like working and wrestling and stuff. Like then you kind of also have to take into consideration like the theatrical side of it. Like you can't just like no face like just wrestling around. Like how do you like balance all of these? And like it took a long time for me to kind of get all those parts together, you know. And I obviously still working on it. Like that's what wrestling is. Like you keep learning all that. Like, but thought it would be super easy. Was not super easy. And I remember being like, why do I find this so hard? Like I remember feeling like this is so difficult. Like why? And like trying to like break it down into like, oh my god, this is really challenging me. And I think that's why I kind of kept coming back, because I was like, here's something that I thought would be easy, and like it's just so interesting. There's so many levels to it, like and like so many different styles and like so much to learn about it, that I think that's why I was kind of like drawn to that. Like if you play soccer or anything, like like there are like almost like you could write down nearly every skill you need for it. Like but with wrestling, you don't have a list long enough, you know. So I think that's why I found it really interesting as well. Like
And you've literally picked it up like a duck to water. It's fair to say that. Like we have to say, Anita, like the Irish wrestling scene has been incredible. Like we've been lucky enough, as I said, like 8-9 years. You know, we've been there since OTT the first anniversary, and like we look back to all the kind of the events that we've covered with OTT, and I suppose CCW, Phoenix Wrestling. It's incredible, and like you've come at the right time, because it's fair to say, Anita, we needed another girl in wrestling. Like obviously there was Katie Harvey, we call her the Queen, Seshmont Martina, there's a Raven Creed, Debbie Cartel. It was time, and it was well needed that we needed another girl to come into the scene. And I remember speaking to Billy Bellum many years ago, and he was like, look, we'll have a girl from Cork that will eventually come on the scene, and it's happened. So like, you know what I mean? Tell us about like, you know what I mean, that impact you've made. Obviously, I've been lucky enough to see your first matches. The fans adore you. You know what I mean? I've seen you down in the Circus Factory. We've seen you, and it's obviously a great vibe that you know what I mean. That you've made such an impact earlier on, and like you're definitely a fan favorite, even though you mentioned the boos from the fans. That's a good thing. That's a
Mm,
really good thing. The fans like to interact with you.
mm. Dramatic pause for water. But yeah, no, like literally, so like all the women you've mentioned, like I think that's like I feel lucky to kind of follow in their footsteps, and they're still there, like you know. And you're dead right. Like I think like wrestling has needed more women in Ireland for a long time. I think like that's what we've been trying to do. I don't know if you've seen like the stuff with like the squad.
Yeah.
So it's like they're all running. Like, they're kind of like the the classes we're running up in Dublin now, like just to try and encourage more people wrestling, like women, trans women, like everyone, like just to like get involved in wrestling. And it's like, yeah, we do need more people. I'm definitely kind of glad I have come in where I have. I think there was kind of like a weird timeline again with COVID, like where I was training away, like I debuted in like on kids shows, like you said, you've probably seen some of them, like those first few matches, like back in like the end of 2018, like 2019 was definitely like kind of when I was like trying to find my feet as a wrestler, like and then like 2020 pandemic hits and it comes back and it's like you kind of go like, and then obviously there was the whole thing where, like there's no more training school in Cork. So I think like what's helped me kind of come along into the women's scene was definitely getting up like training in Dublin, training in Fight Factory, like you mentioned your Katie Harveys, your Debbie Keitels, like getting to kind of go up and train with them. Obviously, like I've trained long Cork with like Raven Green and we've had great matches and stuff. But then like to bring your performance to the next level, you kind of go where like the best schools are, the best shows are, and like it is just going to be Dublin because they're more established. But like getting to go up there, wrestle around with them, pick their brains, like and just talk to them and ask questions and stuff and learn from them, like that's definitely helped me kind of work my way up and like work alongside them. So I'm like really happy to be in that position. Um like yeah, no, I kind of was hoping, like it's such like a, there's obviously like you can name all the women in Irish wrestling, and I think like 2018, 19, like you wouldn't really have been naming me like, oh, like she's someone on like the edge, like maybe she'll make it or maybe she won't, like, but to like I'm happy to say that like when people mention women's wrestling in Ireland that my name is mentioned a bit now, like, which I'm like very proud of. But it wouldn't be without the help of all the other women in Irish wrestling, because that is like the great scene we have. Like no one's trying to stop anyone from coming up. Like we have small numbers, but everyone is like so supportive of each other. So like I think that's like the benefit, and that's why hopefully there will be more and more women to come through in wrestling, because that's the ultimate goal, you know.
Fingers crossed. And like we
Yeah.
have to mention, Anita, like obviously that click in wrestling is incredible. I wouldn't even say it's a click. It's just more of
Mm,
it's more of like a friendly vibe. Like as you say, like the wrestlers on the indie scene right now, they're all beautiful people. They're all lovely
mm.
people. They're all very helpful. What's it like to have such a good wrestling community in Ireland where you can talk to people, you can, learn from people, because they're all great people. I don't know one bad wrestler in the sense of like I've never
Yeah.
approached one and they said go away, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're all at a great vibe, but it's a great thing to see.
Yeah, I think it's like that kind of like Irish culture, like it like translates sometimes into wrestling too, where like everyone's really friendly and wants to chat and like make friends and stuff. Like, I think I didn't realize as well like how friendly like the Irish wrestling scene can be and supportive it can be until I did get myself up training in Dublin. Like, I think when I went up, I was like, oh no, I'm a Cork wrestler. They're just gonna look at me like I'm from Cork. And I went up and they were like, oh my God, it's you, like, da, da, da. And you start chatting and you start picking their brains and like it's great to have that support, honestly, because like it could easily be like, well, like you're not from our school, like whatever, da da da, like we're gonna look out for our own, but it's all very integrated. And I think like you kind of see it now, like obviously there was like a need for a rebuild like post COVID and stuff like that. But I think, and like you saw a lot of crossover between different promotions, like your Phoenix was interacting with Fight Factory, interacting with Titanic Wrestling, and then OTT building up like homegrown Irish talent alongside bringing in imports to elevate them as well. Like, and like it's kind of like a nice slow build and stuff. But I think like you don't get that without like the crossover with promotions, like people chatting away. Like I've learned so much. Like I'll be up at a training session and like I'll be talking to like LJ Cleary, who's been like everywhere, like name a country, he's wrestled in it, like and like talking to him about like, oh, like what you think of this, like or that, and like just getting to like sit down with like a group of people, like and just talk and appreciate wrestling, and people who've been there, done it as well, like so definitely a good thing. The Irish wrestling scene, I think, is it's like coming into like a really healthy space now as well, I think. And it feels exciting to be a part of it. Like it kind of feels different to when like 2018, 19, when I was kind of just coming in. I think like 2022, 2023, I feel like will be like another like kind of a restart, if that makes sense. I just feel like there's so much talent like who've been kind of like bubbling under the surface and building up in the last year, like because of all that like support in Irish wrestling. I just think it will like 2023 will be a big year, I feel, for that. Like, and I think you'll see it in the shows, like, and in the promotions that are running and stuff like that. So I'm excited to be a part of it, hopefully.
You will be, and like
Yeah.
we have to mention, obviously. Look, I remember meeting Aoife Valkyrie when she was only starting out, and we interviewed her on camera, and I remember how shy she was, and obviously Seshmont Martina, no, she's never like Seshmont is she, you know how hyper she is. She's just
Yeah.
crazy. Like I remember grabbing her many years ago. Like you look at like Seshmont going to Ring of Honor, she's done all the independent scene around the world. Aoife, WWE star,
Mm.
Mila G, NXT, Debbie has been in NXT. Like that's obviously something you're looking at for the future. Look, it's only a matter of time, Anita. Like your brand's incredible. You know what I mean? Um, how did you find you? So like when it comes to a wrestler, it's more than just a wrestler. You're a product. You know what I mean? You're a star, eventually becoming figures and all that. But how did you find you? Because look, obviously, you know what I mean. It's a big thing.
I think that's like it's like a thing that like every wrestler will go through. Like you kind of have to find what clicks, and like I've tried things that haven't clicked as much, and like I think like definitely 2022, I feel a lot more confident in myself as well. So I think that kind of comes through then in like your wrestling performance of like someone says something and you reply straight away, like, and it's just you're in your character. I think like people find what works for them, and like I've kind of found what works for me is just like being my annoying self more so. Like if I was, like you kind of lean into different parts of you, like, and I'm like obviously with the savior stuff, I was lucky to kind of be able to find myself through them, which I didn't expect. Like we're doing like the Saviours of Destiny thing, and it's like we're here to save people, but like getting to do my own character within that and develop it alongside like Owen and Andy, like I think that's been like the key for me in like bringing up my confidence. And like the guys say something, I jump in and I say something, and like I think having that group dynamic with Saviours of Destiny probably more so it got me to like kind of find my character a bit, and like I've been able to do it in singles as well as tag, like, so it's really fun in that sense. But obviously like you kind of find your character like through just trying stuff out, and like what works, what doesn't. And I feel like I found like a nice part where like I don't have to think about what I'm gonna say, think about what I'm gonna do. I'm just like having fun while interacting with everyone and wrestling around, like, which I'm in a really happy place, like, if that makes sense. Like, but definitely the Saviours of Destiny effect, I would say.
Well, I'm obsessed. I've got the T-shirt.
Hey.
I'm front row. I'm front row for all the shows. But like, we have to speak of Owen and Andy and yourself.
Mm,
Like, and I'm going to go back through the years, like through OTT, CCW. I'm looking forward to seeing what RCW brings in a couple of weeks. But like we had, you know what I mean. When people talk, I was in a deep chat with the lads the other day. We had the WrestleSlam podcast, and we're on about
mm,
more than the hype. The three
mm,
boys were incredible, but Saviour's Destiny, I'm telling you right now, it's probably the biggest thing we've seen. And Owen and Andy are just incredible. You know what I mean? Great wrestlers. You know what I mean? You're there, Anita, and you're dominating. You know what I mean? It's a trio that's absolute. You know what I mean? It's phenomenal. It's incredible. But how much do you enjoy working with the boys? And look, it's going to be even bigger. Like it's huge now in Ireland. Everyone's buying the t-shirts. You know what I mean? The merchandise. We all love. You know what I mean? The entrances when you come to the ring. It's massive. It must be a great time to be with the guys as well. Like
yeah, well, thank you as well for the support, like with the Saviours Destiny stuff. Like I can't get over it sometimes when I see it all. Like even when I was in OTT, like seeing like the Saviours Destiny t-shirt and people throwing up the hand, I was like, ooh, this is cool. um but like it's obviously great to be a part of it. Like and like that's why I say, like, like it goes back to like there's a lot going on. I'm so busy. Like I'll be up in Dublin filming promos or training with the guys, and like, geez, you've a really busy schedule. But it's like because I love it, I really don't mind like going up and like filming a Saviours Destiny promo, which we do so many of. But like, um, I think obviously and it was a group like that was like put together by accident as well. Like we ended up on a Fight Factory show back in like December 2021, just like as a just thrown together for like to give another team a match, and like we kind of were like that really worked kind of really well, like because I wouldn't have like been friends with them I suppose before, but like in the last year, like the way we kind of realize, oh, like we gel quite well, we click quite well, we think similarly about wrestling, and I think it works quite well as a group, like because obviously we had like similar dynamics or whatever, but as like friends, as people, like I think we think similarly about wrestling. We all have similar goals. We all kind of want the same thing out of the Saviours of Destiny. Like there's not one person in the group who doesn't want to see this go further and further, which is unreal to get to kind of work alongside like people like that. Obviously, like who you have around you like sometimes affects like how you go, if that makes sense. Like, you know, you want a group who are all motivated and want to train and want to get better, and like thankfully with the Saviours, like we all think that way as well. Like so like we've been looking at, hopefully we can take it further in 2023. We do have big plans, like we're looking at wrestling in like different countries, like we've things going on in the background basically, like so we're always trying to push it. And obviously the guys have been in wrestling a bit, like longer than me, like so for me personally, like it's been great to like kind of learn from them and like get up and train with them and ask them, oh, what do you think if I tried this or did that, or like what do you think of that idea, and like we all just like bounce ideas back and forth. So it's great to have a support in wrestling, which can sometimes be quite individual. So to like find a group or like core group of friends, or obviously like a wrestling group, whatever. I'm very lucky to have found the Saviours, but I think we all enjoy it. We all bounce off each other quite well. Like, and hopefully 2023 will continue to be like the year of the Saviours or the month of the Saviours or whatever it is. But yeah, like it's been very, very good.
We're blessed to have you, and as you say, look, we're probably our biggest fans. Well, look, you've so many fans, but we're definitely claiming to be our biggest fans, and we're looking forward to seeing what the months holds. And 2023, it's going to be incredible. It's the world is your oyster. I think the Saviours on NXT 2.0, the Saviours at the Royal Rumble. It is, you know, Owen, Andy, Anita dominating in America. It's something that we can dream of, and I'm sure it will happen. Anita, what kind of goals do you have? Obviously, look, you're fairly determined, but look, we look at the likes of, you know, Seshmont Martina going to Ring of Honor, Aoife Valkyrie, NXT UK, you know what I mean? Debbie's been in NXT, Mila G, she's done stuff with NXT. Like, when you look at all the brands right now, Triple H has come, he's kind of fixed things up in WWE, which makes it more interesting. All Elite Wrestling doing their thing as always. Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor's on the comeback apparently. Like, you know what I mean? Is that something you're going to look at down the road? Because look, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, it's only a matter of time, okay? And I generally, not that I only believe that, I know it's going to happen, but like, what kind of brands do you like at the moment? Would you keep an eye on what's happening across the water?
Oh yeah, like for sure. Like you're obviously like always watching independent wrestling. Like it's always good to see like what's coming up, what's being done, what's not being done. Like so you're keeping an eye on it like that. And obviously like I enjoy watching it as well. So like your NXT, I'm loving NXT 2.0 but NXT now. I love watching NXT. Obviously AEW, they'd be like the two main ones I'd be watching at the moment. Like obviously like you kind of see it and you aim for it. And like you said, like Aoife Valkyrie's out there, you know, doing it. Like you've got Seshmont Martina, who was like just out in AEW recently. And like I think more than anything that does, and I appreciate you saying all those kind words by the way, but like I think that as well will motivate you. Like if they can do it, why can't I? You know, if the ring announcer can say from Dublin, Ireland, from Bray, County Wicklow, from Belfast, you know, I think it would be unreal if eventually, you know, a ring announcer could say from Cork, Ireland, because I don't think it's been done before in like WWE. So like, not saying that would be me, but like if anybody in Cork would like to step up and do that, it would be class. I think it's about time that like Cork athletes and stuff get like that level of representation. You know, obviously like Cork has a great like athletic background and all that. So that would be a goal. If I could be the one to do that, that would be an amazing personal achievement. I don't know if it's possible, but obviously you just keep working towards it. So like if we're talking about goals and aims, I would love to join the great Irish wrestlers who've gone and done that on the stage, but to be the first person from Cork to do that, you know, that would be my goal.
It's a beautiful goal, isn't it? It really is a good goal.
Like you look at the great companies, like there's so many you could jump into, like I would be unreal to just be a part of it. But yeah, like so that would be an incredible legacy. That's something I'm working towards. But obviously you work your way through it, like
definitely. And obviously the fun part of that is the indie scene. The indie scene in the UK, in Germany, all around Europe is incredible. So obviously you're licking your lips and you're looking forward to what the end of the year brings, 2023 brings, because that indie scene is absolutely frightening.
It's booming. It's great. Like that's what I was saying. Like I know there's a lot like in plan for the Saviours for 2022, 2023. obviously for the guys, like they're trying to push their tag stuff, I'll also try and push my single stuff, which I think is great with their dynamic as well. We've all definitely been looking, excuse me, building the brand and like pushing it further. So like for me personally, like if I could break into like the UK a bit more, I would love that. If I could get to wrestle in Europe, in like your Germany's, like I know there's like promotions coming out in like France and Italy and Spain, and like why not? Like I'd love to get to wrestle across Europe a bit more. Like I've been lucky enough to wrestle in Canada before. I'd love to get back now, feeling like with all I've learned now, I'd love to go back. And then obviously like America, like if I could get class. But yeah, there's it's like with like you said with independent wrestling, like it's booming. Like sometimes like I'll sit down and I'll just like throw on like, you know, like just like a random indie show and stuff, and like you pick up so much, and it's a different crowd. It's very fun to watch. Like, and I think, yeah, I feel like obviously the Irish indie scene booming alongside it. 2023, I think will be class.
I love it. Like we know how busy you are, PhD, you know, up and down the country all the time. But just for all the promoters that will watch this, Anita, you are open to traveling to Europe. You are open to travel to America at any given time. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, and I have a full clean driver's license. So, yeah, no, 100%. I would be like I'm putting the feelers out as much, but if anyone's watching this and they're like, oh, is she able to make? I'm like, yeah, I'm able to make it. I'm very good with my time. I'm very lucky that I'm able to travel a lot now. Like, I'm quite settled. Like, so I'm definitely looking to and open to for sure.
I love it. Now we have to mention quickly, we got the news recently that RCW, we spoke to Billy, we had him on for the breaking news. Obviously we have to touch base because look, we know you're on the poster. This could be huge, and it will be huge, but it's obviously great that look, we have wrestling in Cork, it stays. The Keno is going to be the venue for many dates, and look, there's going to be a lot more happening throughout the months ahead. But look, it's exciting times, November 5th. We will be there front row. We're going to have our Saviour t-shirts on, but look, it's going to be a great time, and obviously it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, no, like I'm so happy that like RCW is now like in Cork, and that there's like a home for Cork shows, Cork wrestling, like, and I think like Billy Bedlam's obviously put it over huge, like that we want to have like a Cork focus, develop Cork wrestlers, which is great. Like, I'm really excited for it, and I've loved as well from personal perspective is like wrestling in Cork. I there's nothing I can't compare it to any other like promotion. Like I've wrestled in like Dublin, wrestling in Belfast, like, you know, different parts of the country, and like it does not feel the same as wrestling in Cork. Like whether it's the Circus Factory, whether it's the Keno, it's just such a different crowd, and I love as well like that, like some of the crowd like yourselves like will be there, and you'll have seen me from like when I first started wrestling. Like it's something more special. I'm excited for it. I know Bedlam has like big plans for it. I will be there. There's no matches announced just yet, but hopefully in the coming days like they'll be announced. But like I think it's great. Like Cork like deserves like a great wrestling promotion. I think like RCW has like all the right ideas. I think it's going to be good. I think it's very exciting for a fan's perspective, for a wrestler's perspective. It's a huge positive. So it'd be great.
And like just for all the family, because I know Billy and I know you always get, you know, texts and emails. There is a family show, which is great news. Look, the family show will be early that day. Obviously for us over 18s, we get to come to the Keno. It's a beautiful venue where you're right next to the ring. Like our co-host Matt Murphy always gets splattered. If there's ever a fight outside the ring, I swear to you that this is no joke. Matt Murphy is always in the midst of it. He's always, I think Steve Savage jumped at him one time. I think yourself and Raven Creed had a battle one time, and you hit Matt by accident. It's always no. I was saying it's always good stuff. But like obviously the venue is incredible and it's so close. So like, tell us what people can expect, and if they haven't been to the Keno, which is crazy, what can they expect?
Okay, hopefully not like a similar traumatic experience to Matt Murphy, but from a safer distance. Like I think you summed it up like lovely there as well. Like the Keno, it's a really intimate venue, if that makes sense. Like, you know, you're not sitting down. If you're at the back, you can kind of see what's happening and you can hear what's happening. Like if someone's down the back and they shout out something, I'll hear them and I'll go, sorry, what? Like, and it's a really interactive experience. Like you're not just going to be sitting there. It's not like watching a movie like where you're in the back row and you can zone out. Like it's really interactive, really intimate is the word, I suppose. Fun. Like you said, like you have the kids show, like they'd be like the great like family friendly show matches, which are great fun to be a part of. and then like your over 18s show, where like it's a kind of higher level action and stuff, and like you know, obviously more like over 18s level wrestling when it's great crack as well. Like, well, yeah, no, you've summed it up well. It's not like it's as well like if you're looking to bring a friend who's not a wrestling fan, it's just such a unique experience as well. Like because if they've watched TV on wrestling, it's not like going to an independent wrestling promotion and seeing it like up front and in person. And like, how do you sell that, you know, to someone who's not seen it yet? Where like hopefully they come once, they get it, they like it, and they come back. Like I think that's something that I would love to try and get more people who aren't wrestling fans as well in to kind of see the spectacle of it as well. Like, because it is really unique. It's like it's a niche, fun night out. Like, it's an experience. For some more than others. For Matt.
Definitely, yeah. Matt always gets clocked. It's brilliant, and we have loads of footage. So keep an eye out for the highlight reel of Matt Murphy getting clocked outside the ring. He's always in the midst of it, which is great. But it's oh, we can't wait. November 5th is going to be class, and look, we're looking forward to all the matches and everything announced in due course as well. But it's fair to say, Anita, that people should watch out for the Saviours of Destiny all around Ireland. You might just appear anywhere. The indie scene in Europe, we're looking forward to seeing what announcements will come in due course as well. But it's an absolute pleasure having you on. You know, we're big fans, and look, it's been a privilege watching you from day one, and we can't wait to see where the next 10 years will take you, because it's going to be great.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll see you in the keynote.
We'll see you soon. There's no doubt about it. But listen, thanks for taking the time to speak to us. We know you're busy. We'll catch you very soon, and make sure you give the video a share as well. We appreciate it.
Perfect. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Leah. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye now.